Hey, what's up YouTube? In today's quick video, I want to go over a solution for displaying keys associated with an input action with support for live gamepad and keyboard switching. Now, this is something you can do using the CommonUI plugin via the Common Action widget. But if, for whatever reason, you prefer not to use CommonUI, or you don't have the time to learn it and just want a simple custom solution, here it is. First, I have a widget that displays an input as plain text. It's pretty straightforward. It has an overlay, a background image, and a text block. That text is set upon construction using an instance editable text variable that's exposed on spawn. A similar widget is used to display an input with an image. Nothing fancy. Next, I have a widget that handles the main logic. It just contains a horizontal box. Upon construction, I get the input device subsystem to immediately fetch the most recent hardware device used and bind a function to its on-input hardware device changed event. And upon destruction, I unbind this function. And when the device is changed, I simply fetch the latest hardware device used. And I also call this construct widget function, which I'll explain in a moment. Now, this widget contains an input action variable specifying the input action from the enhanced input system that the widget is supposed to display, right? Like jump, use, or whatever. It also has a setAction function to change the input action for this widget. Once that's done, the construct widget function is called when you change device or update the widget's action. So let's take a look at that function. First, using the most recent hardware device, I check if we are using a gamepad. I get the player controller and check if that reference is valid. I'll explain that in a second. At this point, we are good to go and we clear the widget's horizontal box. Next, using the player controller, I get all keys mapped to this action. For each key, I check if it's a gamepad key or a non-gamepad key, depending on the most recent gamepad usage. And next, I fetch the text or image to display for it. And here's where things get a bit sketchy. I use a data asset that maps keys to a blueprint struct I created, which contains a text and a texture 2D reference. This way, for example, for Xbox keys, the gamepad face button bottom can have an image, and if no image is provided, I display the text instead. This is useful for keys where you don't want to create an image for every character in every language. This data asset also has a function that returns the correct entry based on the desired key, the device used, and the controller type. And this is a custom blueprint enum to define the controllers I'd want to support in my game. If using mouse and keyboard, it fetches the data for the mouse button or keyboard key. If using a gamepad, it fetches the data for the Xbox or PlayStation controller. Now this part is especially hacky. As far as I know, Unreal Engine doesn't have a built-in way to distinguish between controllers, so you have to come up with your own solution. One option, I guess, is to use the platform name if you're targeting consoles. Or for desktop, you could expose a setting in your game options that lets the player select their controller. I believe most people on PC will use an Xbox controller though. Anyway, this is where that reference comes in. This is a reference to the data asset containing the text and images for the keys for each platform. This allows me to call that function in the data asset, which will return either an image to display, in which case I create the image widget I showed earlier, or a text widget. Now, maybe an action has multiple inputs associated with it. For example, the move input likely have WASD keys. So in this case, I chose to create a text block to display a comma to separate each key. Finally, I add this widget to the horizontal box. And that's pretty much it. If I add this list widget to any widget displayed in the viewport, and make it display the inputs for, say, my quote-unquote use action, which is mapped to the E key and the gamepad face button bottom, the input will be displayed in-game. Here I'm using the mouse and keyboard, and if I switch to the gamepad, it automatically updates and displays the correct input for the gamepad. And let's try with, say, the move action. Using the gamepad, it's indeed the left thumbstick, and with the keyboard, it's WASD. That's it! Again, this is something that CommonUI does really well, but not everyone likes using it. Personally, I find it baffling that keyboard navigation isn't really a thing in CommonUI. But hey, that's just me. You do you. Let me know if you have a better solution. Alright, that's it, short and sweet. The project files are available as a tier 1 reward on my Patreon. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one, take care of yourself, bye bye!